How's your elder care adventures with your dad coming along?
He's coming on. Slowly but surely he's coming on.
You guys keep using it.
No, but you know what?
You know, Becky, I feel like I'm in timeout over here. I feel like I'm in timeout. Won't be the last time.
Ready to roll, guys? Good afternoon and welcome to Crow Wing County's Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment meeting. It is 3 o'clock on March 19th, 2026. Please rise for the pledge. If you have not already done so, please silence your cell phones. And if you are online joining us, please make sure that you have muted your microphone until you are ready to speak. Please note that this public hearing is being recorded. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Rock Ulimi.
Here.
John Auger is absent. Sue Maskey is absent. Andy Larson.
Here.
And I am Rebecca Best. The next item is to approve the minutes and findings of fact for the meeting held on February 19th, 2026.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes and finding the facts.
there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Tonight this afternoon, we have 2 items of old business and 6 items of new business. So we greatly appreciate your patience. Our procedure is when we call your application, you will be admitted to the meeting if you are online Or if you are in person, please come to the table in the front, have a seat, and state your name and address for the record. We will then have Nicolette read your request into the record. We'll then give the applicant an opportunity to add any new information that has not been previously submitted. After that, we will open the request up for public testimony. Tonight, we'll have 2 public testimony opportunities, one in person and the other online. If you are online and wish to speak to an application, please use your hand icon to indicate to us that you wish to speak. Then once you are admitted, please unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record. If you are speaking in person, please come to the microphone at the podium in the center of the aisle and state your name and address for the record. In either case, you will be given 5 minutes to give your testimony. Please do not repeat what someone else has said, and please do not read your emails or letters that have already been sent. Everyone who wishes to give testimony will have an opportunity to do so. Once we close public testimony, we will not reopen it. We will then bring it back to the applicant to address the items brought forth from the public. Our rules of conduct are fairly simple. Please be respectful. For the applicant, this means to sit quietly during the public testimony period, and for the audience, it means to do the same for the applicant as they respond to your testimony. All questions and statements are to be directed to this board or members of the staff and not to the applicant. Anyone that I feel is being disrespectful or not following these rules will be asked to leave or will be disconnected from the meeting. The decision process. For a preliminary plat or land use map amendment request, we make a recommendation to the county board. For a variance or conditional use permit request, we make the final decision. We make our decisions based on our findings of fact. To help us do that, we do several things. We do on-site visits where we physically go to the property and examine the site and look at what's being planned. Prior to attending this meeting, we each read every letter and email that is submitted, and we then hear public testimony and we listen to the applicant. I would like to pause for a moment to let the public know that we do greatly appreciate your correspondence and input. We have all read the submitted comments. In addition to that, we have a worksheet that we use to help summarize our findings of fact. Preliminary findings have been included in the staff packet. Next, I will ask each board member present if they have reviewed the preliminary findings of fact that were provided in the packet. Andy?
Yes.
Rock?
I have.
And I have as well. With that being said, our first applicant this evening is Cobblestone Properties, LLC.
I'm Tyler Pagriba, 10878 Brent Drive, Brainerd, Minnesota. I'm the land surveyor that is working with the client. They're in the back there. They're just a couple pews back. There just wasn't enough room here.
And Brad Person, attorney in town here for the applicant.
Thank you. And Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. The property owner for tonight's request is Cobblecrest Properties, LLC. Authorized agent, we have Chad Connor with Widseth. The parcel number is 500-70563. Physical address, 23001 Clearwater Point Road in Brainerd. This is in Bay Lake Township, and the current land use is shoreland. This property is located on Clearwater Lake. Here's Clearwater Point Road, and the lake does wrap around the south side as well as it comes in on the east over here. Clearwater Lake is a recreational development lake with a 100-foot setback, a minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet, a minimum buildable area of 16,000 square feet, and a minimum lot width of 150 feet. Madam Chair, there are two requests tonight, and I suggest running the public hearing for both items together and making separate motions on each request. The request is for a variance for 115 cubic yards of dirt moving within the bluff impact zone where no dirt moving is allowed, and the placement of a driveway located within the bluff impact zone where the driveway is required to meet a 30-foot bluff setback. The second request is a preliminary plat for Clearwater Point Second Edition with 4 total lots. Going to the certificate of survey, on page 18 of your packet, to the north of Clearwater Point Road, there are 2 lots proposed. Clearwater Lake does come in here. There's a 66-foot wide access for Lot 3, and then access to that for Lot 4. On the south side of Clearwater Point Road is Lot 2 and Lot 1. Existing access for Lot 1 is currently through a parcel of land which is not owned by Cobble Crest Properties, and an easement for access was not obtained to continue utilizing this driveway. The applicants are proposing to reroute the driveway through the bluff impact zone to connect to Timber Trail. The original proposal was for the driveway to go through the bluff impact zone and go straight to Timber Trail. I'm going to put up an alternative route on the screen that was submitted by the applicants to wrap around, so it would continue in the bluff impact zone, and then it will wrap around to the existing easement. One second while I put that on my screen. There we go. This is the alternative access that was submitted by the applicants just a few days ago. So the driveway will, instead of go direct, it will connect back into the existing access. You can go back to my screen. An engineered plan for the erosion control has been submitted with this application and is part of the variance request. All proposed parcels within the plat meet the land use ordinance requirements for lot size, width, and buildable area for the riparian parcels on a recreational development lake, with the exception of Lot 1 needing the variance request. A comment was received from the township on January 14th recommending denial of the application, stating concerns of conforming lot sizes. Since then, the request was updated to include the variance for the driveway, and another comment was received from the township recommending to deny the application, stating concerns of the driveway location, safety of pedestrians utilizing the road, as well as concerns on how the proposal will impact the bluff impact zone over time. A comment was received from the Soil and Water Conservation District, or the SWCD, stating the existing parcel is adjacent to over 500 acres of county-administered land, which is valuable habitat for natural species. The SWCD would like to offer their assistance ensuring the property is developed in a way that ensures the habitats stay connected. 8 comments were received from the public, 1 with no objection to the application, and 7 stating concerns on the new proposed driveway creating unsafe conditions, noting limited sightlines with the driveway in either direction of Timber Trail, concerns of pedestrian, ATV, and golf cart traffic and safety. There are also concerns with what the environment hazard with the new driveway may cause. Although engineered, there are still concerns of what the runoff from the driveway will do to the bluff itself over time, as well as noting concerns about the bay to the north of Clearwater Point Road, this bay, and what environmental impacts that may have to the native species in the area. I can answer any questions that you may have.
At this time, are there any questions from either of you?
Not at this time.
Rock?
I guess so why would they want to put this hook in the road?
Well, so the original request was to go straight, and they decided whenever comments are received, they are sent to the applicant, and the applicant was responding to those comments, thinking that that would be a solution, and the impacts then decreased to below 100 cubic yards with the alteration.
And Madam Chair Rock, I think what they're also trying to do is keep the driveway, with it not being a new driveway, it would still be at that same approach where you're coming in instead of having a new, because that was what the township concerns were at the last letter, was they didn't want a new approach, new approach. So I think they're trying to work around that with that driveway design that you see there.
So that would keep the line of sight farther from that sharp corner?
It's still a sharp corner, no
But
matter
it
how
would-
you look
it
at
would
it. But
in-
it would be
improve, it would improve that sight
I think
line.
so. I think so. Yep.
So, Madam Chair, one or two questions. Originally, the township was opposed to that first proposal.
Correct.
Have they opined on the second one that you just showed us?
They submitted a comment on this application, on that
Okay.
you're looking at.
They have not submitted a comment on the most recent that we put up on the screen.
Well, the
com-
brand new
township-
one.
Yep, we received that on Wednesday, I believe.
On Wednesday.
Wednesday, so
Haven't
there
looked at-
hasn't been time for the township to review that yet.
Okay.
Any other questions at this time?
Yeah, it just seems to me that, the original proposal, I had, concerns with that too, but the second one sort of mitigate a lot of my concerns, but I am curious to get the township's buy-in or rejection. I'm curious about their opinion on that, so I'd kind of like to have them have opportunity to react to the new proposal.
Madam Chair and Andy, I did notice that the Bay Lake Township is in the audience, so hopefully he'll have a come up and be able to address some of the issues that you're bringing up.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? I'll turn it back over to the applicant to see if there's anything that you would like to add.
Just, we could further clarify, I think, and it might help everyone out. So based on Andy's question, so Bay Lake Township did have two comments. One was from January and one was from March. The January comment was based on the access easement over Lot 3, which is on the north parcel. We showed a 33-foot before, and we have since updated that to 66. And they were happy to do that, so that fully satisfied that comment. The second one is based on the driveway relocation. So we had sent in that driveway relocation engineered plan, stormwater grading and erosion. And the first set, which is what was going to have a new approach, was going to move 85 cubic yards of dirt. But the clients listened to some of the opposition and some of the concerns, with most of it being they didn't want a separate driveway access, closer to the corner. And then, so they listened to that. Our Woodseth engineers redesigned it, connected it to the same access point, so then the line of sight is better, or the same as what it is existing. And then also the amount of dirt to be moved is only at 40 cubic yards. Just wanted to clarify that, if that helps paint a picture of anything.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Then at this time, we will open
Can I
up.
make a couple of comments as well?
Certainly.
Sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a couple points on, first of all, I think some of the comments kind of just suggest, why can't we just access through the neighbor's property like we always have? We've tried to resolve that, and they want a lot of money for that. And if a variance were denied, my hunch is it would be a lot more. We don't control our destiny if we have to go through someone else's land. And my understanding of county ordinance and state law is if we have a buildable lot, which we do, we have the legal right to access the road from our own property. And the variance is simply, it's a very wide access point along the road there. It's just all, if you've been to the site, the contours are crazy. And according to the surveyors and my client, the only really viable place to get to the property is where we actually try to locate it now. Anywhere to the west of that, the hills are just it's too much of a hill. But if we move the access point to realign with exactly where it is now, it's a pre-existing condition. We're not making it any worse. We don't understand. I understand that neighbors don't like change, but that's more about the development and the subdivision. It's not about the road access. As to the road access, we clearly meet county ordinance requirements. We have legal access. We just need to You can locate it as you wish, whether you want the old alignment or the new alignment, we'll do as you want. But either one would work, or if you want us to move it somewhere else on our property, we're willing to hear that, but I don't see where it could go. And without a condemnation, I don't get how you can say we don't have access to the road. So that's where we're at. It's not about, I hear that's a steep corner, but it's opposed to 50-mile-an-hour limit there. We're not talking about a county highway, people going 55 miles an hour. You almost have to stop to make that turn. So it is a hard sight line, but the contours of that road kind of force people to go slow. So, and it's already there. We're not changing 50 years of history. And we want to make sure if there is any more comments or questions after you hear other feedback, we'd like the chance to respond to that if we could.
Certainly, you will have that opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay. We will now open up this request for public testimony. And as I said, tonight we'll have 2 public testimonies, one in person and one online. If you wish to speak to this application, is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to speak to this application? Anyone in the courtroom? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Hales. I live at 14994 Grosbeak Lane, Deerwood, Minnesota. And for the record, I'm also a supervisor in Bay Lake Township. I have a couple requests I'd like to respectfully make tonight. First off, since we just received this information and we have not had a chance to review it yet, I would ask that respectfully that this application be tabled until next month so our board can meet and go over it. I'm hearing some positive things that I'm hearing tonight, but I am just one of 3, and I'd like to have an opportunity to discuss this with my fellow supervisors. So that's my first request, is to ask to have this tabled.
Thank you, Don. Anything else that you'd like to?
If it's not tabled, then I have other comments I would
Okay.
like to make. So.
Okay, how does the board feel about that request? I know we've heard already from Andy that, and I have to concur that I would like to have, you have an opportunity to weigh in on the new proposal. I think that's only fair and reasonable. Rock, how do you feel?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Can I ask a procedural question?
Yes.
Maybe to point it to Chris, but if it is tabled and we have to wait a month, is there a way to coordinate the final plat approval together with the preliminary plat approval to kind of speed it up in time and combine it off?
Potentially could be, with no road development on this, it would be a matter of getting things in place like, excuse me. Yeah, I apologize for that. I did have my microphone on. Yes, we could coordinate that final plat where it would when it go, because if it does, if let's say we're to get tabled, it would go to the April meeting, which would be, what's the day of the April meeting again?
It is April 16th.
And it would end up at the county board's desk on April 27th. And so our cutoff date, that the extension that you guys have provided to us was May 1st. So we would have time to get to the April meeting, and we could coordinate preliminary and final at the same time. We could definitely.
Just to keep thinking that through. If it were not tabled and it were approved, like there's a lot of ifs right there today.
Correct. Right.
We still got to come back for final. Would it be it would be the same timeline if we in that scenario, wouldn't it?
Correct. Final does not come back to the planning commission. Final goes directly to the county board. So, and that has been past process in similar plats where we've done a preliminary and a final plat at the county board at the same time. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should ask the applicants this, but you guys are proposing potentially tabling the variance, but may or may not table the prelim plat hearing tonight.
If we're going to table the variance, I'd recommend we table the plat as well.
Both would be tabled.
Yep.
I don't think you can. They're too connected.
I don't think we could approve one without the other. So. Or get clarification at a minimum on that approach on lot 1.
The only thing I'm thinking of is, have you ever, I don't know your practice on approval subject to or contingent upon the town board meeting and giving you something that was done without having a second meeting again? Have you ever done that before?
We have not. And so that's not been past practice of this board to do conditional approval. And so I think that if we're not comfortable with approving it now, I think the big question that maybe the board is wrestling with, I think, is that when you look at the proposal, while it does stay on that same spot, it is within the right-of-way of Tall Timbers there. And so I think the township would want to have input into that, because if they ever wanted to, the road be moved for whatever purpose, and there's that driveway there, I think the township just needs to weigh in and say that they would, respect that or be willing to accept that as a location for that driveway, because it will be in the right-of-way of Tall Timbers there, of that platted road. So I think that's the question, I think, at hand.
Can I have a second, please? Reading the room, we don't oppose the tabling of the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I would recommend, though, that we complete the public hearing, because this has been tabled once before, and I believe some folks have probably made the trip up, and they should at least be given the opportunity to speak today. Not that they wouldn't have the opportunity in April as well, but I think at least for the public to be heard at this point, I'd recommend finishing the...
That this afternoon
Yep,
versus...
and we'd still have another public hearing at the April meeting as well, but I feel like the folks are here, they should be give them a chance to be heard,
I
so.
think that's only fair.
Okay.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this application? Please come forward, if so. Anyone else? Seeing no one in the courtroom, is there anyone online who wishes to speak? Okay, please note that we've made that opportunity for additional public testimony. I'll bring it back to the board then for action, further.
Madam Chair, I'd make a recommendation, or I'd make a motion to table this application till the April meeting.
Thank you, Rock. Is there a second?
I second.
Madam Chair, can we just clarification, it is the variance request and the plat request are being tabled together?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There's a motion to table both the variance and the plat request on Cobblecrest, and there is a second by Andy. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. This request is tabled until next month. Thank you very much for your time. Our next applicant would be Shirley and Perry Leffler for an interim use permit. Shirley and Perry Leffler.
Hi, I'm Shirley Leffler.
Hi, Shirley.
I'm online.
Would you like to
Hello.
state your name and address for the record, please?
Shirley Leffler, and I live at I have a home at 27177 Ridgewood Drive, Merrifield, Minnesota.
Thank
And I
you.
live at 286 15th Street Northwest in Naples, Florida.
Okay, thank you very much. And Nicolette, can you read the request into the record for us, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, tonight we have property owners Shirley and Perry Leffler, parcel numbers 530-40581, 530-40582, and 530-40583. The physical address is 27177 Ridgewood Drive in Merrifield, and this is in Center Township. The current land use is in the Shoreland District. Let me change my map here. So this property is located on Upper Mission and Lower Mission Lakes. Upper Mission Lake is a general development lake with a setback of 75 feet, and Lower Mission is a recreational development lake with a setback of 100 feet. This property lies in Center Township, just below the Center Township line. Up here is Mission Township, and of course down here would be Center. Madam Chair and board members, I just want to remind you that this property had a preliminary plat application heard on the August 21st PCBOA meeting, where you had recommended approval of the preliminary plat with variance at that time, and the county board had approved on September 23rd, 2025. The request tonight is an interim use permit for an event center to allow a wedding venue. Going to the survey on page 78, I'll adjust my screen here. Here's the property that lays out. It consists of 3 total lots, 1, 2, and 3. With Lot 1 being utilized for parking, I believe there's a total of 53 total parking spaces now on the property. There is an easement for access that goes through the neighboring property up here to the north that is utilized to access lots 1, 2, and 3. And then there is an easement that comes down further for the neighboring property to access Lower Mission Lake. Lot 2 is proposed to be the event and reception area. I'm just going to go to an exhibit over here. This is an existing building proposed to be a reception and a kitchen hall. This existing house over here on Lot 2 is proposed to be a bridal suite with additional family accommodations. And then on Lot 3, there is an existing house that is proposed for a short-term rental for the wedding venue. On the peninsula over here, I want to point out that this is the proposed outdoor wedding ceremony area for this event center of where the outdoor weddings will be hosted. The applicant is proposing up to 100 guests at any given event and plans to utilize portable restrooms to accommodate these guests. No comment was received from Center Township. A comment was received from Mission Township since the access into the property is utilized via Ridgewood Lane and Ridgewood Drive, which are both Mission Township roads. Concerns were noted regarding the commercial enterprise not being in harmony with the surrounding residential neighborhood. The township also commented on the anticipated increase in volume of traffic for guests or commercial deliveries, as well as an increase in public services. Mission Township requested an assessment of the private easement, also known as Hoot Owl Drive, to address the increased usage and maintenance that might occur. 29 comments were received from the public, all of which were in opposition of the application, stating concerns of increased noise, disruption of peace, and concerns regarding hours of operation. There are also concerns of safety for the residents along access roads, light pollution, and lake environment concerns regarding increase of phosphorus, invasive species, and nutrient runoff. Concerns of environmental and wildlife impacts to the native species in the area, as well as concerns of overflow parking impacting neighbors, emergency vehicle access concerns, and the narrow access of Hoot Owl Point, increased traffic on the lake, and concerns regarding the existing septic system capacity being able to handle the venue. A comment was received from the applicant stating that there will be staff present to oversee parking and guests will receive clear direction and instructions regarding this. It was noted that the residence directly to the north is for sale and being advertised as a potential home business. The applicant stated they are committed to maintaining the road collaboratively with the neighboring property owners to ensure its responsible use. It was noted the applicant believes the request is in harmony with the surrounding area, as the uses include residential, recreational, and business-related activities, with their proposal being seasonal with clear operational controls. The applicant stated in closing that their goal is to ensure that any growth or development associated with the property will be thought out, responsible, and beneficial to the broader community by addressing the concerns and following the guidelines set by the board. I can answer any other questions you may have.
Questions? Comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair, when we toured the property, a couple of things just really jumped out at me. If you look just to the north of the property we're considering, where the access road from the north enters, to the east side there, you've got a residence on the lake, and on the west side, you've got their garage. And effectively, the traffic would be coming through basically someone's driveway. And what struck me is that my home setup is pretty similar to that. I've got the house on the lakeside, and then my driveway, and then there's my garage behind that. And I couldn't imagine a situation where one of my grandkids is running from the house to the garage to go get a life preserver or a bike or a trike, and there's cars coming in there heading into a wedding. I mean, that's just inimical to public safety. No way you can mitigate that. I mean, it's a narrow setup, and there's going to be, whoever lives in that house is going to be going back and forth. So, number one, that was a huge red flag for me, because my own home is, laid out not dissimilarly. Secondly, I just don't think it fits in that neighborhood. It's so close to that property I just mentioned. Weddings are not quiet events. So the sound issues and the noise are significant. Secondly, to the east there, where the actual venue occurs, it's virtually on the lake. Sound cover, travels.
Water's free
Yeah,
as far as sound goes.
yeah,
There's
it's, I wouldn't want that situation on the lake. Light issues, a big consideration. Parking, what happens if there's 56 cars? Are they going to be parking on spots they're not supposed to park? So, Madam Chair, for these reasons, I'm just not supportive of this. It just doesn't fit that neighborhood in that area.
Thank you, Andy. I would add, from being on the on-site, that I have several concerns that you articulated very well. The traffic and safety and noise being the ones that are at the forefront of my mind with this particular application. Rock, do you have anything or any questions?
I don't see how it fits the neighborhood myself either, just because noise across the lake just travels. You can hear people talking about, and this is going to be not just a disruption just to this area. It's going to be all across the upper and lower lake. So I can't support it.
Okay. I'd like to turn it back over to the applicant. Do you have anything that you would like to add or respond to the discussion that's been had at the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. Couple things that you brought up that I definitely wanted to also bring some further information. The house that is sitting right next to us is currently listed for business use. So the easement, obviously the current owners next to us think that the easement can support this type of easement for a mechanics business or a detailing business. And we do have 28 acres there with 7 that has been deemed environmentally protected. And we do have a large area that can support the parking, and we've had Woodsith go in, provide information to make sure that we can accommodate these. The existing history of Hoot Owl, that was a fish camp for many, many years. Families came and went. It was designed. The original structures are there that support a commercial kitchen. There was actual pictures of hundreds of people being out there having big, large events. So this is something that we took into consideration when we were thinking about this, is already the history is there. We're not adding any new buildings. There's significant buffers on the property. We too have lived on the lake. We've enjoyed it with our family. And we do have a vacation rental for a large family at this time. People have respected the property. We have respected the ordinance. We've applied for every permit through the county. We've gone through the process. We have been transparent with the property. And we have had a lot of people ask us about utilizing the property as a wedding venue. So that's what's basically brought this up, because of the vacation rental. We wanted to make sure that we went through the process correctly.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we do open up this application to public testimony?
Not at this moment, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. At this time, we will open up this application to public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? If so, please come forward to the center podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good afternoon, thank you. I'm Nick Bernier from 26825 Mission Narrows Lane. I'm just south of that. I live permanently right across the Narrows from there, which is a narrow channel, which is a no-wake zone because of environmental issues. Weddings should be happy, loud, and boisterous. This is not the neighborhood for that. The noise we're used to hearing from over there is loons, ducks, swans, geese, blackbirds, frogs, perching for eagles and ospreys, and an occasional American bittern. You guys know them as slough humpers, or thunder pumpers, and an occasional Wilson snipe. This is a recreational lake designation, and this is just, sorry, it's inappropriate. I hope the family could enjoy their lake homes and listen to the nature as we do. The only wildlife that really likes it around there at night are the hoot owls, which they would have to compete with, I guess, but I'm in opposition.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Please come forward. And if you'd state your name and address.
My name is Darwin Voigt, 27181 Ridgewood Drive. I am the neighbor, the next door neighbor. Concerned about the safety. We have 10 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren. When they come up, they have four-wheelers and three-wheelers, and they shoot across that driveway to go out to the Woods Rider trails. The little ones race around the building. Concerned that one of them might get hit or killed. In regards to the easement, in 1979, my brother and I and our wives bought Hoot Owl Point, which consisted of roughly 100 acres. In 1981, my dad passed away, and in May, my mother passed away. Settling up the estate, we says, hey, we better divide this property up here so that if something happens to one of us, our families don't have to go through what we went through. So we divided the property, and I gave my brother a driveway easement through our property to get to his place, and he gave us a easement to go down to the lake. It was designed for one person. We haven't sold any of that property. It's wetland, it's preserved. We have deer, loons, and all that. So it was never intended to be an easement for commercial property. It's a driveway. If you were out there, you can see it's dirt. There's some soft spots in it that need to be tended to. It's a driveway easement. There was a judgment, and I brought you a copy of that, where the judge stated driveway easement. Even the plaintiff said it was a driveway easement. So I'm very concerned about that much traffic going between them two buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, members, that the document that Mr. Voigt was referring to is up on the screen right there. So
This is what we were given prior to the meeting beginning today.
he brought it with him.
Yes. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address this application? Please come forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Bob Snell, and I live at, 14755 Eagleview Lane in Merrifield. My wife Paula and I have lived on Lower Mission since 2011. I also serve as the treasurer for the Mission Lakes Association Board of Directors. Our family has spent 15 years fishing, boating, and swimming here. My children grew up on the water, and now my 4 grandchildren, are making their own memories. I'm here today to ask for you to deny the proposal for the event center and wedding venue in Center Township. This is a quiet residential neighborhood. A commercial enterprise is simply not in harmony with our homes. Specifically, we are concerned about neighborhood peace. Loud music and speakers will shatter our quiet. Also, bright light pollution will destroy our dark night skies. Safety, our local roads are not designed for the heavy traffic and congestion a large venue brings. Incompatibility, the extended hours and high volume of activity are the opposite of why we invested in this community. Furthermore, this commission approved Mission Lake Improvement District in December of 2025. This proposal, I feel, works directly against the Lake Improvement District, against its intentions. A commercial venue requires pristine landscaping, raises serious concerns about certain concerns about fertilizer runoff into our lake and our lake, not to mention the septic concerns and its effects. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to address this application? And just a gentle reminder that we have read all of your letters and emails and have heard everyone thus far today, so if you could not repeat what has been said, that would be wonderful. Please come forward.
My name is Jim Johannes, and I got a property at 27162 Ridgewood Drive that's just north of the property. And one thing I want to say is I've been there since 1999. So if that was a fishing camp with a lot of traffic, I would say I 100% disagree. Maybe there was one family that went up there, but we do not have the traffic. And the thing is, I strongly disagree for all the reasons brought up, but I know you've been to the site, and one of the things is we have a one-way dirt road, and I also have little grandkids running around, and I don't want that traffic, during the weekends and stuff. And that's when there's traffic on our road, is during the weekends. And so how can we put a commercial activity in a residential area? And then the question I've got is, are we planning to make that commercial property, or is it just for a zone, is it just to give them the wedding venue?
You're asking for an
I can answer
interim
that.
use
I can answer
permit.
that question,
Go
Madam
ahead.
Chair. Yep. So the application is for an interim use permit, and what that is intended to allow certain uses in zoning districts that wouldn't be permitted, just like an administrative over-the-counter permit. And so the county board has decided that these wedding venues would qualify, to apply for an interim use permit, not automatically be granted one. There's a process that you guys have all been part of. And so the zoning on this would not change. And so the zoning would still remain residential with an interim use permit if it gets approved. So there's no proposed change to the zoning on this parcel.
Okay, so I did look up, there's a Minnesota statute 462.3597, and it said a city or county may grant an interim use permit only if certain conditions are met, including it conforms to the zoning ordinance. And I would disagree with that. It's clearly a recreational thing, and in order to put a commercial business in there with a parking lot and buildings and on top of the wetland, I think you have to zone it. It's commercial activity. So I think that's a no. And then the other thing is you can't have additional costs to the public for this interim use. And I would disagree that there's no cost, because if you have a one-lane dirt road, I would argue you're going to have to make that road bigger. You're going to have to add streetlights. There's going to be police calls. And then even I know there's a noise ordinance. After 10 o'clock, you can only have 55 dB according to the state of Minnesota. And when we have a wedding venue and we're up there every weekend, there's going to be a lot of police calls and problems. And it's blatantly obvious to me that this just does not belong in the proposed area. It needs to be somewhere where it's zoned commercial. It doesn't belong. If you approve this, it's just going to create a bunch of problems and a lot of unhappy people.
Madam Chair, could I address the?
Yes.
So Minnesota Statute 462 you refer to refers to cities and towns when they zone. Minnesota Statute 394 is what governs how counties do their planning and zoning. And so if you look in our ordinance, Article 10, you'll see a list of uses and where they're allowed in certain types of permits. And so this event center is a use that's allowed with an inter's permit in the Shoreland District. It doesn't look at the difference between lake classes, general development, recreational development, and natural environment. So if this gets approved, and I'm saying if, the staff doesn't make the decisions, it's the board that makes the decisions. It is a allowed use with the proper review, public testimony, all the process that we're going through. So it's not in violation of the ordinance. You may not like the location, you may not like but it would be, if it was something that wouldn't be allowed with a permit, they wouldn't have been allowed to apply for it, and they wouldn't have gotten to this point in it. So just to be clear that, the purpose behind an interim use permit or a conditional use permit, which is very similar, is to make sure that it gets proper review from the neighborhood. So we mailed notice to the neighbors, we publish in the paper, and the decision is made by the board here, and this board is appointed by the county board, and that's set out in Statute 394 as how you would create a planning commission and a board of adjustment. So just wanted to clarify that aspect of it. So.
And a couple other things I'd like to clear up is Butch's land that's just north of that, even though it's zone business, he's lived there for a long time, and it's not a business. Him and his family go through there once in a while, and he works on his trucks. And then the last thing I'd like to bring up is we didn't know it was in Center Township, so we can also call Center Township and have them assess the impact of this. But I think they're going to have the same thoughts as Mission Township. So if you give us more time, I can contact whoever Center Township is, and we can have them make the same assessments. And I did even get a letter from Mission Lakes Association. Everybody has the same feeling. So I just think with so many people against it, it makes completely no sense to have this permit approved.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, the zoning on this property is residential, as well as the property to the north is residential as well.
Okay.
So it is residential, and Center Township was provided notification and given the opportunity to comment, and we didn't receive a letter from them. So they were provided the opportunity to comment, though.
Okay. But I can contact them myself too, but it might be too late, but I'm willing to do that to discuss it with them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address this application?
In regards to the road, that's not a road, that's a driveway. When you divided that up and put 3 lots there, the county called up and said that for 911, they had to have a road, a street address. So we had to pick a name for it. So we named it Hoodall Drive, just so that was for 911. That is not a road. That is a driveway. And who's going to maintain it? The township, county, nobody's going to maintain it. I've been doing the maintenance, all the years I did. Never once did anybody ever say, what do we owe you for dirt? Do we know anything for fuel? I just did it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to address this application? Anyone?
Matt's coming up. We got one more.
Hi, my name is Matt Kelly. I live at 28728 Polaris Lane, Merrifield. My folks have a lake place, 27682 Ridgewood Drive. I've been going there since, I guess, to Upper Mission since I was born, 44 years this June. My grandfather lived on the lake for 50 years. My dad went from the time he was born. He's going to be 76, I think. And I'm going to try not to re-spew everybody that came before me. I agree. Safety's probably number one, the noise, and honestly everything that they all said before. But the question that I think the county's got is, how did this even get to here, right? And I understand how that happens. There's a template, there's rules, that they have the right to come and submit. However you guys decide to vote on this, that's your whatever. You know, you got your information, you're going to go yay or nay. I just hope that whatever decision you do make here at the end of the day, that you use this as an example for the future for the decisions that are made when this instance comes up again. The 30 letters, whatever, that came in opposition, I think that's really scratching the surface. My dad allegedly didn't get it in the mail. Whether he didn't open it, it got lost, I have no idea. It's the mail, right? But this was just brought to our attention last week, so late to the game and kind of ill-prepared. But ultimately, I guess I'm really curious where this would end. Nobody's talked about, I guess, the future development that would stem from this. So the first thing, I've been self-employed for 20 years. I'm not into real estate. My dad is. Somebody who's in real estate is going to see dollar bills here. And VRBOs, Airbnb, huge thing here. Where does it end? And how does this reshape the community long-term with somebody seeing dollar signs at every turn once these things get established, and you push out generations of families who are established there and are trying to get away from this type of environment. And I would assume that when a wedding venue gets established and real estate comes for sale, in some cases, it's going to devalue it because it's only going to become appealing to somebody who wants it as a real estate investment, like the Lefflers. And the person who's going to come to get away from it all is going to say, I don't want anything to do with that. I want to get as far away from a wedding venue that's a quarter mile away or on the other side of the lake as I can get. And it's going to devalue everything in between, and it's going to really change the dynamic for the future. And that's one thing that I didn't really see in the notes, and I think everything else has really been addressed, but it's really concerning to me to where this situation could end or not end. And I would hope that things are changed in either my local ordinance, Mission Township, and or at Center, and then furthermore to the county to say, hey, look, this was a real big issue. This was a lot of people who didn't want this, and who are we serving? Who are you all here for? I get that they're part of the equation, but the numbers speak for themselves. When it comes to a lot of the checklists that are on here, I think, to me anyway, my opinion is half of them really weren't met. And it comes to the public safety, welfare. I mean, it's very subjective to say that, yes, is it going to employ some people? Sure. But when you put it on a scale, how does that balance out? And I just don't see it being a fair balance for the taxpayers and the people who, have worked really hard to afford these properties, and they come here for relaxation and to get away from the hustle and bustle of the cities and city life. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the courtroom who wishes to address this application? Seeing no one, I know we have I believe several people online who would like to speak. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Madam Chair. Yes. So let's
Start with,
why doesn't somebody online who had their hand up unmute and go ahead and introduce yourself?
once you've unmuted, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Should I go first?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I'm Kitri Kylo, and the property address that we have is 27301 County Road 19 in Merrifield. Our permanent address is in Lakeville, Minnesota, thus I'm here remotely. I won't reiterate, I have all the concerns. I serve on the Mission Lakes Association board, but my family has been coming to the Mission Lakes for 97 years, and we've had a property for 42 of those. So I've been there my whole life, and my father his whole life. But in addition to those concerns that have been said, when we talk about commercial venue and it's being, that there's a difference between having a mechanical, something where there's little traffic, but then having a wedding venue. And besides the, I'm concerned about the congestion also on the road on 109 that would be coming, or the congestion to get into the wedding venue when you have lots of vehicles arriving at the same time. But the other point is that it's been alluded to by other individuals, but the lower Mission is already labeled as impaired by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. It does not need a big commercial venue that is going to be dumping more harmful nutrients into the lake. We are battling that now. We do not need to distress that lake anymore. And the other thing, it's been said, but the wetland area is precious and it does not need to be disturbed by all the noise and so forth that a wedding, constant activity potentially every weekend during, from spring to fall. So I'm in staunch opposition to granting the application or the permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, if you would please unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record.
How about number one? Would number one go first?
Cindy Carls.
Is it Cindy? If you could unmute your microphone and state your name and address.
Hold on.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Couldn't figure out where the mute button
Okay.
was.
It's Paul and Cindy Karas, Karos, and it's 27998 Ridgewood Drive. And I'm not gonna I did send you the note, I'm blind, and we bought our property in 1997. And I just wanna thank you, first of all, for giving us the opportunity to share our feelings. It's really, really nice that we get a chance to communicate how we feel. And we also took a huge sigh of relief when we heard some of the board's concerns as well. So the only thing that we wanted to add is that the channel that goes between Lower Mission and Upper Mission, which happens to be our kids and nieces and nephews' favorite part of the lake, actually, because you feel like you're in a, I don't know, like an Amazon type thing. It's so peaceful and it's so quiet. It happens to go directly attached to the Hootall Point property. And, because it's a wedding, most weddings do start probably 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The character of that change could be so dramatic that you're going to be going through this quiet channel and you're either listening to or watching a wedding. And then, not to mention of course, you're going to have microphones and all that kind of stuff as well. So we just, really hope that the board will say no. Otherwise, it really, the Mission Lakes will, I think, forever be changed because of this. So we just want to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Number 3? Oh, number 4,
Shirley,
pardon
yep,
me.
she'll
Number
have it
4.
JP Zoya.
JP, if you could unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name's John Zoya. I live our property is 27990 Ridgewood Drive. I'm the president of the Mission Lakes Association. We wrote you a letter with concerns that we had, along with many that we received from other fellow neighbors on the lake. A couple things I wanted to provide in addition to that. It was stated, for one thing, that there's enough parking spaces for 50 vehicles. Yet there's going to be as many as 100 people at these things. So what prevents 100 people from driving their own cars there? And where will they park? The soil in that area is very soft, and after a heavy rainfall, it could be a problem for cars parked there. So I imagine there's going to be quite a bit of Class 5 brought in to create a solid surface, which will add to the runoff issues that we have with our lake already, and we surely don't want to make that any worse. I'd like to also add that my family's had property on Upper Mission since about 1970. Our lake home was actually the first one built on that section of the lake that was created called Ridgewood Estates. This was sold by Richard Harrison and developed by him. And we do not remember it ever being a fish camp in those 55 years. So if it was, it predated when there was any residential properties nearby. So if it was, it's kind of a moot point. The last point I'd like to make is that I participated in the August 2025 Planning Commission meeting where it was proposed that this property be split from one piece into three. There was no mention whatsoever that this was to be a commercial property. I think everybody, including the Board of Commissioners, were under the belief that this was going to be residential. They might have had a different feeling about it had that been the case. But yeah, this was a surprise to everybody, I believe, and it's really not appropriate. It's just too much traffic on a rural road with lots of residents around. And, this driveway access, I believe, was given a variance based on the fact that it was going to be residential, not commercial, which would require, I believe, a 66-foot wide easement, and which is virtually impossible because of the buildings that border the current road or driveway. So those are my thoughts. Hope you'll consider this and rule against this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there
If I
anyone?
may, I'm sorry, if I may, I'm the second part of the JP Zoya.
Oh, absolutely. If you
I'm
state
Palma.
your name, yes.
Absolutely, thank you. My name is Palma Zoya, and I also have a residence shared on 27990 Ridgewood Drive. And I also am on the Mission Lake Association. And I just wanted to also point out that I think for many of us in the Merrifield, Centerville Township area, I think so many of us embrace, the business atmosphere, and we want to support that in the community. That's important to all of us who live there full-time and for seasonal residents. My primary concern is what everyone has stated before us about safety, very much so. I do want to suggest that a wedding celebration, and I don't doubt the applicants, encouragement and ability to embrace the community and the wedding venue and the peacefulness of it. I don't doubt that by any means. I'm sure that they are very well versed in that approach and have had experience, as I understand it. So I do not doubt that. My concern is, again, from a safety perspective, and I know celebrations are happy, wonderful times for so many, and I do believe that alcohol consumption will occur. I am concerned about that for the children in the area. It is not a well-lit area. It is a residential area, and that gives me pause for people with children and our grandchildren. And the only other second point I would make is that time in Minnesota, in the Brainerd Lakes area, is precious. Our summers are, we all know, it's critical. And this venue, the operational time frame is during the summer months. And to be on a lake in the peaceful setting up north and have that potentially intruded upon, even though I think the intentions are there to try to create opportunities to mitigate it, I don't know that that is entirely possible within the constraints of what everyone embraces and has purchased the property to escape that in our precious northern woods. And I thank you again for allowing us to speak to this. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online?
Madam Chair, Mark Casey.
Mark Casey, if you could please.
Hi, my name is Mark Casey. I'm a seasonal resident at 13979 County Road 116. I'm also part of the board of the Mission Lakes Association. I'm not going to belabor what was already said. I just think this is fundamentally incompatible with Upper and Lower Mission Lakes. This is the, quote, quiet place to be. And this would not be a quiet place if this venue is approved. Thank you very much for this process. It's a very good process, and appreciate the opportunity to both submit written comments and to speak with you.
You're welcome, and thank you for your input. Is there anyone else online? Okay, seeing no one else, and we've heard from no one else in the courtroom or online, I will bring this back to the applicant if you would like to address any of the issues that were brought up during the comment period.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to bring up a few things. First off, I appreciate listening to people and listening to their comments. And when we purchased the property, it is something that we have had for years, and we have had our children there. We've been in the school district. My kids are actually in Florida on educational purposes, but we'll be going back up to the Minnesota area. They love the area. There's going to be long-term use of the property, the family. It's not something that we purchased that we want to get rid of. We do have the one home that is a vacation rental. I do want to bring up a couple things that I thought was just very disheartening and also very contradicting. One of the things that multiple people brought up was the fact that the neighbor to the right next to us, and they mentioned him by name, Butch, has brought up the fact that he is concerned for his family's well-being and the children and everybody that comes to his property, but he has not lived on the property in almost 2 years. The house is vacant. It is for sale, and through the MLS, it's listed, and I can be quoted on the verbiage, that is a prime listing for a commercial business. I suggest all of you go in and you take a look at that, because if we're condoning somebody that lives next door to you, saying that you should not have commercial use, you should not list in the fourth sentence of your commercial listing, of your residential listing, it's the perfect setup for a car or boat collector or a home-based mechanic or detailing business. Those businesses bring a lot of noise. Mr. Voigt has owned a large busing company and transportation company for many, many years. I've lived next door to him. I've lived in that property. I've seen the buses coming in and out. I've seen the cars coming in and out. And multiple people that spoke today spoke on behalf that it's okay for him to have a mechanic business there. But they never spoke on the fact that I've had to live next door to that also with my kids when my kids were young and outside playing and driving through as he's backing up buses and doing all these things. So the next thing that I found that was really interesting, and I really like the fact that the gentleman brought this up, there is a process, and I have followed the process for 13 years. I have pulled permits. I have been transparent. I have had the county come to my property. I have gone through the system. I have completed applications. I have hired surveyors. I have hired engineers. I have done everything with my building process. I have one of the lowest density, probably in the nation, for as large a property that I have on a lake. Literally across from me is Mission Beach Resort. It is 8.4 acres. And look at how much has been developed on that. I have 2 homes that are still there. I've added 1 shop. And I haven't done the large commercial growth that is being said that I'm doing. I asked for this venue because I've had a lot of requests in my VBRO because the property is so beautiful. And I decided to ask the county and go through the proper chains and ask for the proper guidelines, the proper ordinances, everything. I have followed the rules the whole time. I have never had 1 complaint in 13 years of owning that property for noise issues. I have not, in the 3 years I've had it as a seasonal vacation rental, had any complaints. I can show you that I have emailed my neighbor that he has never in 13 years sent me an email nor asked me for assistance in maintaining the roads, we've always done it collaboratively together. We've always worked together. So when you come forth and you bring facts, please bring the correct facts on our history. Our history has been, we have done everything we can and with our home. And look at the low density. We even have the 7 acres that has actually preserved wetlands. I paid for that when we purchased the home. So we want the neighborhood to know that we have followed rules, we respect people. The reason we have that 28 acres is because we love our privacy too. We understand and we come there with our family, and we still come there all the time with our family. And we're not going to stop coming with our family. We just decided to go through the proper process, and we have followed it and we have complied all these years. So I just wanted to end on that note that there's more information, and when there is statements made that are incorrect, it is not okay to have a mechanic business not allow a wedding venue. You have to have guidelines for everybody. One gentleman even thought that the property next door to us was zoned commercial because of the use over all the years. So that is a contradiction to what we've done. We've been transparent. We have allowed the county on our property. We have gone through all the process, through everything. We've asked for input, and the county has been more than willing and has provided us amazing information. They have guided us through this process. So the county is not failing the system. The system's in place, and we need to respect the people that are sitting upon those boards that are guiding us, people like me, that are going through processes, whether it's building onto my house, whether it's a short-term rental, whether it's any growth that we're doing, that you are providing us with the correct information. Because without your information, we don't have any ordinances for anybody to protect their properties there. When you have a resort across the street with 44 RV sites, 9 cabins, 10 pontoon boats, multiple tents, a general store, and if you actually go on, I contacted the county last week, there's multiple properties on the upper Mission Lakes and lower that are already commercially zoned. I know when I moved there and I was living on my property from the very beginning, that traffic and the amount of people that have moved there have increased. After COVID, we've seen house after house after house. I've divided my property just like anybody else would to protect their families, to make sure my kids and everybody's protected for the growth. I will continue to utilize the county, the land services to advise me on any direction that I'm going, because I have been transparent and I want to make sure I continue to be transparent. I want to build that relationship. But I also want people to know that I also am concerned about the areas, and that's why I have such a large property and I have such low density. So I want to close on the note that I truly, truly appreciate this whole entire process that I've been through. I have learned a lot. I have understand that the respect for the neighborhood, the sound, the noise, the traffic, the growth, all those things are very important in protecting our own home and things that we have going on. But the fact is also that I am a homeowner and I am not there at this time. And just like many of you, I do use my home in the summer times. I do have an investment and I have invested into the community. I am not going anywhere. My family loves it. I call it my little piece of heaven on earth, and we enjoy it. I just decided when I had people contacting me to go through the right appropriate channels on how I needed to continue with the progression of my property and to share when people are asking about having weddings there. There are multiple homes that are on that lake that are now VRBO. We were just there in September and I could not believe down Ridgewood Drive, how many homes had cars out front with boats and trailers. They don't even have the parking. And they have VRBOs. I have the parking, I have the land, I have the ability to host these people and keep them privately on my property. I can tell you that moving forward for 27181, I will continue to monitor, because I don't want a mechanic shop with 5 bays, tow trucks, running in and out of the property with loud equipment going off all day long, because I've already endured that. Because just like other people thought, there was a commercial business being ran out of that property. So I want to thank you for allowing me to come forward today. I want to thank you for guiding my family with this process. I hope that you understand our position, and we will continue to use the advice of the county. It is in place, it has been proven, and it is the reason it's in place is for people like me to go to fill out an application, to know what my future holds and what my rights are with my land. So thank you very much on behalf of the Lefflers. I hope that we can get this permit approved, and I truly, truly want everybody to understand that we also have a vested interest, and we also love the property that we have there. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring it back to the board for further comment and discussion and action.
Well, vacation rental generates traffic, but it doesn't generate 50 cars for an event. I look at it, would I want this in my backyard? And I would say no. I don't think it's the right location for a event center. We have approved many event centers. Most of them are on huge parcels of land, 100 acres. The closest neighbor is, you know, a half mile away. The closest neighbor is right next door, right across the lake. There's multiple houses. And like I said, the water's free travel as far as sound goes. It just, there's no buffer, there's nothing stopping sound leaving the property, and to have multiple, I see it I see this, if it was approved, I would think probably almost every weekend there's going to be an event there all summer long, and I don't think it's the right thing to do to the neighborhood. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Rock. Andy?
I concur with Rock. His comments are spot on.
Thank you. I concur as well, getting back to earlier concerns that were voiced, the traffic, public safety, the noise, both locally right in the neighborhood and then across the lake as sound carries, lighting, parking, just the overall wedding venue is, in my opinion, inappropriate for that particular neighborhood. So, based on that discussion, I would entertain a motion regarding...
Madam Chair, if I could interrupt, if that's okay. If you look in the packet on page 109, you'll find some potential findings that the staff prepared that would support approving the interim use permit. And then over on page 112, there's some findings that would be able to use to support denying the permit. And
Thank
so
you, Chris. 112?
112 if that would be for findings if the board was leaning towards denial. If that's the route to choose to go, I'd recommend that we work through and discuss the findings that have been prepared and see if there's anything that needs to be added or anything that needs to be modified or changed based on the board's opinion. And Madam Chair, if it's okay, I could just kind of walk through those findings.
Okay, everyone have that in front of them. Please go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so everybody, just a point of reference too for everybody who's here in the courtroom and online, there is a set of requirements or findings that have to be met, and they're actually located in the ordinance. And so this is not something where it's just a very subjective choice of whether they approve or deny. And so there's a list of findings, and we'll just kind of walk through those here quick and make sure that everybody is on the same page and help correct things for us if you have things that you'd like to point out. But the first consideration is what impact will the proposed use have on the health, safety, and general welfare of the occupants in the surrounding neighborhood? Staff included events will increase traffic and activity in the vicinity, which can affect nearby residents' sense of quiet. The access drive is located approximately 150 feet from the neighboring house to the north. In addition, the access drive is located approximately 20 feet to the neighboring accessory structures. The sheds are there as well. More visitors on site will increase noise levels during events impacting neighborhood welfare. And the driveway parking use increases vehicle movement, which may raise safety concerns with the shared access driveway. Is there anything that you'd like modified or anything you'd like added on there based on the discussion today, what we've heard from the comments submitted, the oral testimony? Anything you'd like to add to number 1?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
one of the individuals pointed out that with the development of the parking facilities, because of the nature of the existing soils, that would require different types of soil brought in for parking, which is by and large impervious, which adds potentially to runoff and water quality issues. So I would encourage us to add that also.
Okay, we've added that. Is there anything else that the board would like to consider looking at health, safety, and general welfare of the surrounding neighborhood?
I would say something about the health of the lake. Part of our goal is to protect our precious water resources and lakes in the area, and someone spoke quite well to that as far as the wildlife and the impact of noise, maybe increased boat traffic, those types of things.
There was mention about additional nutrient loading,
Yes.
and so we can include that. Okay, got
Please.
that. Is there anything else for number 1? Okay, we'll move on to number 2 then. Number 2 says, is the proposed use able to meet the standards of the county land use ordinance? And the answer that staff has put in is that the proposed event center is allowed with an interim use permit in the Shoreland District. So that's, that is what is allowed. I think other things that you could maybe think about is, do you think that you could put conditions in place that would mitigate things like lighting or noise or those sorts of things? I think one of the questions that we have to really come to as far as a finding, if you're not supporting the request, is there aren't conditions that can be put in place that would mitigate the concerns or of the potential impact to surrounding properties or to the lake. I think that's really the conclusion at the end of the finding that you would come to as we go through this. And maybe we get to the end and we determine that there are conditions and maybe you would move the route of approving too. So just wanted to, that's kind of the conclusion that we're working towards is, are there conditions that would mitigate, or are there conditions that would not mitigate the concerns?
Okay.
Madam Chair, just a comment on that. Clearly conditions could be put in place, closing down at 8 o'clock at night, limiting number of attendees or cars to 15 or 20, moving it away from the lake, et cetera, et cetera. But for me personally, I'm a business owner. By the time we put conditions like that, we effectively eliminate it as a viable business. So I think we're not doing anybody any favors trying to condition this into acceptability when it is just not a fit for the neighborhood and for that location.
Okay.
I agree.
Agreed.
Okay, we'll go to number 3. Is the proposed use consistent with the goals and policies adopted within the county's comprehensive plan? There is a goal in the county comp plan that talks about fostering a diverse mix of business environment, focusing on growth in designated infrastructure supported areas, support business development that creates livable wage jobs, enhances tourism, improves residents' quality of life, address blight to enhance community character and preserve quality of life, and then to increase the support of local tourism, vacation-oriented business, and non-seasonal based economy. So that's what we have for number 3. If we move on to number 4, will the proposal cause any adverse effect on neighbor property values and future development of the land in the surrounding neighborhood? Finding number 1 is that there is potential for decreased property values in the neighborhood based on increased traffic, potential increase in noise and lighting. The main concern is the proximity from the existing 33-foot easement to the neighboring residential properties. Outdoor event areas could require additional mitigation such as noise, lighting, and buffering, and noise, light, and buffering. Is there anything that you'd like to add as far as that?
Could we go back to number 3.
Sure.
So, it's just my opinion, but foster a diverse business mix, environment focusing on growth in designated infrastructure supported areas.
Yeah.
There's no infrastructure
Yeah.
in this area. It's not on a county road. It's on a gravel road that.
Right.
It's on a driveway.
Right.
It's not supported by infrastructure.
Okay, yeah, okay. We could put something, we could look, there's another factor that would be in the comp plan that would talk about protecting natural resources, water quality, lakes, and we could use that as a finding in place of that.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
could also mark no and state of why it is not.
That's what I'd say. I'd
Okay,
say
we can do
no,
that.
and
And
it's
state
not
why
an
it is
infrastructure
not.
supported. If
Okay.
this is off of a county road,
Got it.
that would be different, but it's,
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
I just have a question pertaining to this first report that, so just so we know in the future for these types of things when we come to the county, these finding of facts was done by a whole bunch of people that came out to our home. And it seems to me that the facts that have been provided that are listed on here are not even aligning with what's going on at this meeting, which brings me to some concerns as what was the purpose of this finding of facts if they're not aligning with what we're talking about today? Because this was a bunch of people from the county that's gone out and done this complete report and put this report together. So I'm just a little concerned at this time as to the difference of finding of facts versus the opinions of what's going on with the county.
We went out on a site visit and we come up with the findings of fact. The board members who were on the site visit as well as staff, and this is how these are drafted. The purpose of going through these right now as part of this process is to go through and make sure that we have everything as we would like to see it in final form. Because
I just want to make sure, going forward, I mean, we've involved WIDSETH, we've had surveys, we've had people involved, and, looking at the proposed information, and there was not one box on here that did not support moving forward. So I just, myself learning the process and working with the county and going through these processes, I'm just trying to understand where the big change came from all these basically supporting, because I've reviewed this with WIDSETH and with Tyler, and just going through this, I just wanted to find out how this changed so dramatic. And it kind of goes back to the gentleman who brought this up, that making sure that someone who is moving forward and asking questions has the proper information when we're trying to do things, whether it's, a remodel of a home to a vacation rental to asking for an interim use permit.
So, Madam Chair, just to answer that question, the information that we're looking at today that's on the county website was posted a week ago today. And so nothing has changed since it was posted a week ago on the website as far as what's in this packet. So what you'll see in here, the findings that would support the request that were on page 109 were in the packet a week ago, as well as the findings that were on page 112. So nothing has changed from when it was published or was posted to the website 1 week ago.
In the process we're going through right now is just going through and seeing if there are any additions or other information that the board feels that they'd like to be added to this document.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
So if we look at number 4, Madam Chair, we just talked about the adverse effects on property value and future development. We had the 2 bullets there. Is there anything that you'd like to add in addition to number 4? It talks about potential for decreasing property values in the neighborhood based on increased traffic and the increase in noise and lighting. The issue is the 33-foot easement to neighboring residential properties, and the outdoor event could require mitigation for noise, lighting, and buffering. Is there anything else that you'd like to put there?
I think, from my standpoint, I think that's fine.
I'm good.
I'm
The
good.
only thing that you might want to state that when we had that required mitigation, you could state something that the board doesn't feel that there are conditions that would be placed that would mitigate the noise, lighting, and the buffering from it.
This
Is
might
that
be
kind
a
of the
good-
conclusion that you're coming to?
Right, that's kind of with my starting comments, that if this is where we would like to include that, that would be appropriate, in my opinion.
Okay.
Really comes down to where this parcel is located between the two lakes with, if it, if it was tucked
Yeah.
in somewhere else,
Question number 5, will the proposed use have any effect on public utility, public services, roads, or schools? Point number 1, event traffic will increase vehicle volume on Hoot Owl Drive. Condition 2 is that there are no schools near this property, so that won't have any impact. Number 3 was the use of the shared access driveway raises concerns for emergency response, fire access, and safe ingress, egress for occupants and neighbors. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on to that, or does that suffice? Okay. Number 6, will the proposed use have an impact on the environment, including its impact on groundwater, surface water, and air quality? With the additions of conditioning a stormwater plan, this would have minimal impact. So I guess the question is, do we feel that if there was a stormwater management plan, that would have minimal impacts to groundwater, surface water, and air quality? Or are we wanting to focus more on the idea that I think Andy heard, that we're concerned about the added impervious coverage, increasing runoff, and then nutrient loading? I think that was mentioned earlier. Is that the
Yeah,
same?
the increased runoff on account of the impervious surface impacts that
Okay, we can add
driveways will
that.
have.
And I also think when there was reference to the wetlands and in the channel, I'm thinking about that environmentally as well. And we spoke to that earlier in this process, going through this list.
Okay, number 2 is that the septic has been adequately addressed through an existing shared septic system, and they do have alternative sites as well as utilizing porta potties for the events. So they do, I think, have that covered. And then, but the septic is not sized for a commercial kitchen. So if they wanted to add that, the septic would need to be upgraded to meet capacity and kitchen demands. If we go to number 7, does the proposed use have adequate water supplies, subsurface sewage treatment facilities, erosion control, and stormwater for the applicable standards? I think, again, we mentioned the increased impervious, as was discussed, and runoff issues. Septic sizing for the commercial kitchen. Is there anything else that you would like us to add related to this bullet number 7 about as far as stormwater management? I think there was concerns about that Lower Mission is in impaired water. And there's concerns about added runoff. And septic issues as well, contributing to water quality. Are there any other items that you'd like to talk about related to water quality, to water supply, septic systems, erosion control, and stormwater management? Okay. I think that we have what we need to put the findings together for you.
Thank you. At this point, I think we're ready to bring it back to the board for any final discussion and action.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we deny the request for the Leffler property, subject to terms and conditions specified in the report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, can we just clarify, so we're basing that decision on the findings of fact discussed tonight, the written testimony received from the public, oral testimony we received both in the courtroom and virtually, your on-site visit of, what date did we do the on-site?
March 5th?
On March 5th, your on-site of March 5th, and your consideration of all the facts that was put together in the staff report, and that information, that is what you're basing your decision on tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
That along with the application submitted, yes.
Application submitted, yes.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion on the floor? If not, all those in favor of the motion to deny the interim use permit, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank everyone for your time. Thank you. Our next item of business,
Excuse me, folks?
if you could exit quietly, we're going to continue on with our business. That would be great. You can carry on your conversation out in the hall if you wish to. Thank you. Our next application is Harold and Brenda Worley for a variance. Harold and Brenda Worley, are you in the courtroom or are you online? Harold and Brenda Worley.
Harold's sitting right there.
You want to come forward? I think my nephew is going to... Oh, okay. Are they online?
If you're online, please introduce yourself.
Should we proceed?
Yep, I think we should head on to the next application. and-
Okay, he's making a phone call.
You're up. You're up.
He said his invite was for 5.
No, it was for 3.
No, you're up now, I guess.
We'll just, he can tell, maybe he can try to get down here, and we'll just go to the next applicant on the agenda, I think, and
We can skip
come
over.
back. We'll come back to this one.
They'll move you back.
We'll
Okay.
come back. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to move forward. We're going to come back to Harold and Brenda Worley. So the next application will be Chris and Leanne Oldsberg for variance. If you'd like to come forward to the table up front, that would be great.
We think this one might be quicker and easier.
Welcome. And if you'd state your name and address for the record, please, both of you.
Leanne Oldsberg, property address 5521 Crowing Lake Road, Fort Ripley, residence 732 West Wind Avenue, Shakopee.
Thank you.
Chris Oldsberg, her husband.
Thank you. Would you like to read the request into the record, Nicolette?
Yes, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight's applicant is the property owner Chris and Leanne Oldsberg, parcel number 630-10529, physical address 5521 Crowing Lake Road in Fort Ripley. This is in the township of Fort Ripley, and the land use is currently the Shoreland District. On page 152, I'll be able to show you where this property is located. This is Crowing Lake, and this little highlighted parcel right here on Crowing Lake Road is the Oldsberg property. Crowing Lake is a general development lake with a setback of 75 feet. And the request tonight is a property line setback of 6 feet where 10 feet is required to the proposed detached garage. To construct a 1,040 square foot detached garage. I'm going to go to the certificate of survey on page 160. And this is the Oldsberg property here. With the driveway coming off of Crowing Lake Road, there is their septic mound here on the south side of the driveway. Their proposal here is 6 feet from the property line and 8 feet from this corner. And of course, the detached garage with a little bit of a driveway. The applicants wish to place their garage at an angle for ease of access into the garage. Noting a comment from the March 5th PCBOA on-site visit that there appeared to be room for the proposed structure that doesn't encroach the septic and have adequate room for additional parking. No comment was received from the township, and one comment was received from the public, who is the neighbor to the north, actually, stating the structure will not impact their property and they support the request. I can answer any other questions.
Thank you. Any questions, Rock or Andy? Okay, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, thank you. I believe you have all the data. The big thing that the township, I was at the board, was asking to make sure that the neighbor to the north was good, and Kevin and Carla Parch are, they do have a letter of recommendation, so
Okay. Thank you. Then at this point, we will open up this application to public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to speak to this application? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing no one? How about online? No one online, so we will bring it back to the board for further discussion and action on this request.
I guess, so it's the southeast corner of Lot 21, Myers Addition. Was that the original before, was that the original property line?
So you look right.
To answer your question, it was not the original property line. There was a boundary line adjustment to accommodate for the neighbor's well that was placed in this corner right here. So if you can see that circle with the W, that is the neighbor's well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a boundary line adjustment to move that property line so the neighbor's well was on his property.
You're correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I just see southeast corner of Lot 21, you know, this dotted line. And a lot of times with new technology, the lines move a little bit because of, wasn't wrapped around a pine tree or an oak tree or a piece of brush, and the chain wasn't pulled tight, you know.
Right, yep. Yeah, no, that's the property line now where you can see.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other discussion or questions? If not, we can entertain action on this application.
Madam Chair, the findings of fact are on page 172.
172.
So as like previous, there are findings that would support and findings that would support approval and support denial. So which route would you, and the applicant also has done a great job of providing his answers to the findings as well. So that is part of your packet for your consideration, so.
Madam Chair, I'd recommend the findings supporting variance.
And so those are on 172?
Correct.
Correct.
And I don't have any additions to it, so.
I have no additions either. Andy, do you have anything?
No additions.
Okay. Any questions or follow-up, Chris, on that?
There are recommended conditions on page 176 as well. There's 3 recommended conditions.
Can we review those conditions that would be part of any motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the property line setback of 6 feet where 10 feet is required to the proposed detached garage, to construct a 1,040 square foot detached garage with the conditions a land use permit shall be approved by Land Services prior to construction starting, a stormwater management plan according to Article 41, and a as-built certificate showing all variance requirements, including elevations, are being met, must be submitted to the county once construction is complete.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, before we take action on your variance request, I need to verify 4 items with you. Do you understand what is being approved tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the conditions that are required as part of the approval?
Yes, we do.
Do you understand that you must obtain permits now from Land Services Department before construction begins?
Yes.
And do you understand that what is being approved tonight is final? Any future changes to what is being approved tonight, such as structure size, height, or location, must be approved by this board? This means that you'd be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information with a new request. Staff cannot modify or change what has been approved by this board. Is that understood?
It is.
Thank you. We will then proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Your variance is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next application would be Boris and Anna.
I think we're.
Are Worley's on?
I think he's coming in person.
He's coming in
Oh,
person?
he's coming in person?
Okay. So it'd be Boris and Anna Gumenek, and I'm probably not mispronouncing that last name, and I do apologize. If you could come forward to the table, that would be great. Thanks for your patience. Waiting sometimes can be frustrating, so we appreciate that.
Pleasure job, I tell you.
If you would state your name and address for the.
My name is Patrick Waddick. I'm a friend of Boris is here.
Boris Gomenuk.
Okay, and your address?
Address for cabin or for?
No, for the accessory building that we're looking.
For your address, your residence.
It's 6115 Holiday Harbor Drive. It's in Garrison. But my address where I live, it's
Thank you.
9900 Brooklyn, Evergreen Avenue, Brooklyn Park.
Okay, thank you very much. Nicolette, can you read this request into the record for us, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, the applicant tonight is property owner Boris and Anna Gumenik. Authorized agent is Patrick Waddick, and parcel number is 673-10584. Physical address 6115 Holiday Harbor Drive in Garrison. This is in Garrison Township, and the land use is Shoreland District. This property is located off of Highway 169, off of Holiday Harbor Trail, and this is Mille Lacs Lake. This is a harbor of Mille Lacs Lake, and it is not a permitted harbor, which permitted harbors would have a 50% reduction. This has the typical lake setback of 75 feet for Mille Lacs being a general development lake. The request tonight is a variance for a bluff setback of 7 feet where 35 is required to the detached garage to construct a 600 square foot detached garage. I am going to go to the certificate of survey on 185. And there you will see the bluff that has been identified. There is a driveway that comes off of Holiday Harbor, an existing dwelling that is meeting all setbacks here, and the applicants wish to have a detached garage that is placed there. An engineered erosion and grading plan was submitted by the applicant as part of this application, as well as an engineered stormwater plan. A few comments were noted during the March 5th PCBOA on-site visit, noting that there are similar structures in the area at the toe of the bluff, and with the proposed location really being the only spot on the property to have an accessory building. No comments were received from the township, and no comments were received from the public. I can answer any questions.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, after looking at, the property, I mean, considering the way it's laid out and what they have to work with, I think they did a very good job of laying this out. So I think it was well thought through.
And I would add that we saw similar structures as was stated in Nicolette's report with similar types of locations.
Yeah.
Anything to add or questions?
No, this bluff is a issue, it's longstanding.
Yep. Is there anything that you'd like to add at this time? Otherwise, we'll go to public testimony.
Well, I think it's going fine.
Okay, you don't have to.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, at this time, we'll open it up to public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I'll go to online. Is there anyone?
No, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
then I'll bring it back to the board. Findings of fact are on what page?
Findings of fact are on page 196 of your packet.
186. And we'll entertain further discussion and action on this application.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would move we approve the variance request for the Gomenick property based on findings of fact and the conditions listed in the staff report.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Your variance is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next will be Scott and Sandra Gross for a variance request application. Scott and Sandra Gross. Hi. Getting close to evening. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Scott Gross, the property address is 8625 Paradise Beach Road, Brainerd. My home address is 38275 Honeysuckle Lane, North Mankato.
Thank you. And Nicola, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, the applicant and property owner tonight is Scott and Sandra Gross. Parcel number 752-40601. Physical address is 8625 Paradise Beach Road in Brainerd. This is located in Long Lake Township and is in the Shoreland District. This property is located off of Paradise Beach Road. That is that long green road that comes through here and then is on South Long Lake. South Long Lake is a general development lake with a setback of 75 feet. The request tonight is a variance for a lake setback of 66 feet, where 75 feet is required to the proposed addition to a dwelling. A lake setback of 54 feet, where 75 is required to a proposed deck addition to construct a 648 square foot addition to the existing dwelling and a 40 square foot addition to the existing deck. I'm going to go to the certificate of survey on page 207 and zoom out a little bit here. This is the existing driveway entering into the property with the existing cabin here. Their proposal is to add the addition to the home on this side, and this is the 648 square foot addition. There is a proposed addition here of a deck. There is an existing deck currently. It's just to connect the proposed addition and expand a little lakeward. A few comments were noted during the March 5th PCBOA onsite, noting that there are structures in the area that with similar setbacks. The proposed addition is not going any closer to the lake, and a stormwater management plan may be needed as the lot slopes towards the lake. No comments were received from the township, and there was one comment received from the public noting support of the application. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Chair, just a note there, I think we also talked about after the inspection, there'd been a building, removal just to the east or west side there. So I think that was a plus. So I think we've seen some mitigation of some other issues. So I was pleased to see that, and that made me more comfortable with the request.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, to his point, the building I removed, tore down, was actually 6 to 8 feet closer to the lake, and our addition is no closer to the lake than the current, obviously, and with the only direction I can go, obviously setbacks are more than fine. The deck addition is actually 32 square feet, or 36, 2 by 18. We're just cantilever. We're using the same footings. I'm just looking to cantilever 2 feet over, so we're not, putting any footings any further out. And like was stated earlier, several of the neighbors nearby are closer to the lake than I am, or similar than the proposal for my addition. And we're not at any more, basically the addition or the bunkhouse we tore down, we're basically replacing that square footage with the addition to the existing cabin.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. At this time, we'll see if there's any public testimony regarding this application. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would wish to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, is there anyone online?
No.
Okay, then we'll bring it back to the board for further discussion. We can take a look at the findings of fact and any potential conditions and move forward with this request.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the variance for the gross property, subject to the findings of fact in the staff report and the conditions noted therein.
Madam Chair, findings of fact are on page 216, and proposed conditions are on 219 of your packet.
Second?
It's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, your
Quick
variance.
question?
Yes.
I assume Article 41, the stormwater management program, that's the next step that I find out what.
You can
that's
work
gonna
with
entail.
staff and they can give you direction with
Yep,
that.
your next step will be permits, and we'll work with us to help you get the permits for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Let's move on to Enger, and then we'll do Worley last, I think.
okay, the next applicant would be Melvin Enger for variance. Melvin? Hello.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. Jared Johnson, Miller Construction. Home address 5834 Wildemere Drive, Pine River. Site address would be Twin Pond Lane, Ideal Corners.
Okay,
Mel Inger, home address 9234 Woodlark Way in Maple Grove.
thank you. Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, tonight the applicant and property owner is Melvin Inger, authorized agent Jared Johnson, parcel number 682-10585, physical address 35748 Twin Pond Lane in Pequot Lakes. This is in Ideal Township, and the current land use is Shoreland, the Shoreland District. This property is located, oops, help if I got to the right page. This property is located on Twin Pond Lane here on Clamshell. And Clamshell Lake is a general development lake with a lake setback of 75 feet. Let me back up one step. So if you go down Rutger Road here and then down Twin Pond, that's where that property is located, just in that bay. The request tonight is a lake setback of 60 feet where 75 feet is required to the proposed addition of the dwelling, a lake setback of 60 feet where 75 is required to a proposed deck, lake setback of 62 feet where 75 is required to the proposed septic tank, and a lake setback of 50 feet where 75 feet is required to a proposed septic drain field. To construct a 566 square foot addition to an existing dwelling, 348 square foot addition to, 348 square foot deck, and install a septic system. I'm going to go to the certificate of survey on page 233 of your packet. You will see the Clamshell Lake does wrap around to the north side of the property. There is an existing dwelling here within the building envelope available. They are proposing the addition here to the north. There is an existing deck already also on the lake side, and the proposal is to have the deck wrap around with that addition. And here is the septic drain field that is proposed 50 feet from the lake. The septic tank over here is actually moving further back from the lake, 62 feet for the proposed septic tank there. And I don't believe any comments were received for this application, and I can, Township, we did not have any comments from.
Township is approval. We did get it, we do have some good comments, I believe.
I stand corrected. The township recommended approval, and there are no other comments on this application.
Thank you.
That's why they keep me around, so.
Do either of you have any questions regarding the report? Do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, I think the fact findings, as you guys go through them, have the.
Same with you, Nat?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, great. Then we'll move to public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Seeing no one, is there anyone online? Seeing no one there, we'll bring it back to the board for further discussion and action on this application.
Madam Chair, findings of fact are on page 247.
247.
and The proposed conditions are on 249.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the anger variance per the finding of fact and the conditions noted in staff report.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, before we take final action, I need to verify 4 items. Do you understand what's being approved tonight?
Correct.
And do you understand the conditions that are required as part of the approval?
Correct.
Do you understand that you must obtain permits now from Land Services Department before construction begins?
Correct.
And do you understand that what is being approved tonight is final?
Correct.
And any future changes to what is being approved tonight, such as structure size, height, location, must be approved by this board. This means that you would be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information with the new request. Staff cannot modify or change what's been approved by this board.
Correct.
Okay, with that, then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. That leaves us with the Harold and Brenda Worley variance request. And state your name and address for the records, please.
Dan Worley, 33853 Jenbro Road, Cross Lake.
Harold Worley, 2266 Shady Nook Road, Brainerd, Minnesota.
Thank you. Nicolette, can you read this request into the record for us, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. The property owner is Harold and Brenda Worley. Authorized agent, I had Sarah Goodrow. But we have Dan Worley here as authorized agent. Parcel number 630-10568. Physical address of the property is 5043 Crowing Lake Road in Fort Ripley. This is located in Fort Ripley Township, and the current land use is in the Shoreland District. This property is located on Crowing Lake, off of Crowing Lake Road on the peninsula here. And Crowing Lake is a general development lake with a setback of 75 feet. The request tonight is lake setback of 52 feet where 75 feet is required to a proposed dwelling with an attached garage. A lake setback of 48 feet where 75 feet is required to the proposed screen porch. A lake setback of 51 feet where 75 feet is required to the septic drain field. And a lake setback of 57 feet where 75 is required to the septic tank. To construct a 3,304 square foot dwelling with an attached garage and a 248 square foot screen porch, and to install a new septic system. I'm going to go to page 128 for the survey. We'll rotate our screen here. So the property, like I said, is located on a peninsula. Here, there is an existing cabin, if you can see this in the gray, and there is an existing detached garage. What they are proposing is, this is the house with detached garage. The screen porch here, 48 feet from the lake. And then the house, I would like to note, is meeting the property line setback over here of 10 feet. Moving to the septic tank, we have 57 feet from the ordinary high water here for the septic tank. 75 is required. I would like to note that the septic tank is meeting the 75 foot on the opposite side since it is a peninsula. And the drain field here is 51 feet from Crowing Lake, where 75 is required. During the PCBOA onsite on March 5th, a few comments were noted that the applicant is moving the proposed structure further back from the lake than the existing. There is a tent carport down here by the lake that is proposed to be removed. And the location of the septic system is preferred due to the wetlands on site, noting to keep the vegetation natural on site except for the clearing of the new septic system. No comment was received from the township, 8 comments were received from the public, all of which were noting concerns regarding the existing water quality of Crow Wing Lake and how this proposal will increase nutrient runoff and phosphorus into the lake with the size of the structure and the location of the septic drain field, as well as what long-term effects this may cause. Concerns were noted regarding potential environmental impacts to wildlife, and there are concerns the request is not in harmony with the purpose and intent of the land use ordinance or the comprehensive plan, noting concerns that the size of scale of the proposal does not align with protecting shorelines, preventing overcrowding, or safeguarding water and environmental quality. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Do either of you have any questions at this point?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything that you would like to add to what you've heard so far?
Just from a procedural standpoint, after we comment and we get public comment, are we able to respond to the public comment?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I'll just summarize a few things that aren't obvious. So it's stated that we're proposing a 3,300 square feet home, but it's important to note that it's a 1,900 square foot home and a 1,300 square foot garage. So it sounds like it's this huge house, but it's a normal size house. We did a couple of different renditions of this, quite a few. The closest we came was trying to attach the two existing structures together and see if that seemed palatable. And at the end of the day, working with staff, we determined that the foundation of that existing building is moving all over the place because there's no footings under it, so it's getting pushed all over by the frost moving around. So we proposed to move back from the existing location, new construction, correct all of those issues, as well as provide a stormwater plan so we can capture all of the rainwater and deal with it appropriately. The septic issue, the location we chose for it is the furthest back from the lake setback that we could find that is in a very vegetated area, so we don't have any surface runoff issues. There's a lot of existing tree cover in that area surrounding it. And as you can see, the driveway access comes into where the building footprint is. I don't know if you can kind of outline that teeny little building footprint, but you know, it's unreasonable to try to fit a building into that small area, plus be able to drive in there and turn around. So we thought we used best practices, tried to align with the spirit of the ordinance and come with a proposal that made the most sense overall.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I would just like to say, some of the comments were made that we're going to be full-time residents, a lot of people going in and out. Not true. It's just my wife and I. And we're just want a little bit bigger house. We can, if our grandkids come, they got where we can meet in one room. We don't have that right now in our existing house.
Okay, thank you. Okay, move on now to public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
All right, my name is Rick Peterson. I currently reside at 2749 Chippewa Shores Road. I've held various positions at the Crow Wing Lake. I've been the president of the association. I'm currently the secretary-treasurer of the Lake Improvement District. I have submitted somewhat extensive comments to the board already about opposition to this variance, which of course I won't get back into. Won't waste time with that. I would like to use this limited time I have to address probably a broader issue, not just this variance, but other variances also, and that's one of respect. This is something that's kind of lacking in today's society, and I acknowledge the board actually talked about that earlier as far as respecting everybody here. In this case, this is not so much a respect for current property owners, it's also respect for the air, the water, and the land that we all share, and respect for future generations yet to come. One of the points that was brought up in the variance request is recognition that the past development of this land did not meet best practices or specifications. And they refer to the lot actually in their own variance report here as an extremely narrow lot. It really is. And their proposed development does not meet current best practices either, especially minimum setbacks from the lake. But there seemed to be, I guess in the report, it's maybe my impression, they were acknowledging that, yeah, there was some bad stuff happened in the past. The standards are up here, but let's just split the difference and call it a day. And I think that's a trap we shouldn't fall into. There's a historical perspective in terms of property ownership. Ownership's kind of a funny thing. We've been around, humans in this area for thousands of years without any concept of ownership whatsoever. Who can own the air, the water, the land? We're just temporary occupants. We're just stewards of the lake and the nature, if you like. Now, settlers actually introduced the concept of ownership up here. My own deed in my property, which I'm just across the lake from this one here, goes back over 100 years, and that's introduced the first concept of ownership on these properties here. That actually was granting parcels of land adjacent to what was then known as Thunder Lake, not Crowing, but Thunder Lake, to the railroads. So time goes on, property is bought, sold, development occurs in kind of fits and spurts. Some of this respects nature, some of it does not. We didn't know as much as we do know now as far as how we have best practices in terms of respecting our natural resources. But thankfully, we have learned a few things, and we set these out in, I think, was well-crafted codes by the county, because I guess, frankly, we're not all angels. So rules and regulations really are required. Respect for the land really isn't automatic or universal. It has to be defended. The point in all this lead up here is that the past can't be changed. Whether setbacks happen, that damage is already done. But we can take what we already have learned to actually start respecting the land. That's why this apparent, what I call splitting the difference. The setbacks, restrictions are here. We did this in the past. Let's just split the difference and move forward. If we do that, we don't progress. We don't get better. We just compromise in halfway measures. And the land suffers. The lake suffers. And as the comments out there, Crowing Lake is an impaired lake. In the summertime, it's literally pea soup, and it's not getting any better, and we should not compromise our respect for the land in this matter. And one thing we also should take note of is time moves forward. Our future generations are going to face even greater challenges in their world. Their ideas and best practices for respecting nature could be a whole lot different than ours. And we should take, acknowledge the fact that, did we actually learn today and respect nature and leave them hopefully a better world? Did we truly respect the land, or did we just split the difference? Well, I guess in conclusion, my opposition to this variance boils down to not so much just a debate as far as there's a 48-foot setback for the screened-in porch versus it really should be 75 feet per county regulations, or the exact percentage of impervious surfaces. It's more of a question of how do we really respect the air, the water, the land we currently occupy, and just what sort of future are we supposed to be leaving for our future generations? With that, I'd just like to thank the board for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Maloney Hermerding, and I'm a cabin owner at 5085 Crowing Lake Road. I'm speaking in opposition of this to, I sent a letter, so I won't reiterate that. I'd like to reemphasize what Rick said about the minimum standards. The county sets minimum standards, so the 75-foot setback is minimum. The request is significant. There have been previous variances granted to homeowners on that lake, numerous. The last one that I'm aware of, there were 7 variances that were granted, and that has impinged the quality of the lake. We just approved one earlier tonight, a little one, which is easier for me to understand, but this is a pretty big one, And so my cabin is 6 cabins down from this property. The average size of the cabins near there is less than 700 square feet. The property that they're proposing is almost 3 times that size. Most of them are seasonally occupied. There's one that is year-round. It's large. It was built without county approval, and they've had numerous run-ins, or not run-ins, but had to work with the county to be compliant because the previous owner didn't talk to the county. So I guess on that note, too, I would, just ask the county to follow the regulations that they have set for the health of the lake. And for those of us that have property there and understand the rules. We've been there 20 years. We bought the property. We have a large family. We understand that we will never be able to build closer to the lake. We knew that. We bought the property knowing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address this application?
Hi, Chris Peterson, 2715 Chippewa Shores Road. I just want to say, Mr. Worley has been on our lake for years. I've been there for 70 years. He has a reputation for disregarding the wildlife and the wetlands on our lake, and I don't see that giving him a house on the point is going to change anything. I am totally in disapproval of this variance.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address this application? Anyone in the courtroom?
I have one hand online, it looks like.
Okay, we'll go to online, and it looks like DJ. You would like to unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record, please? Can you hear me? You need to unmute your microphone and state your name and address for... What did that say? Can't verify the identity? Is that what it said?
Donald Gruland, if you're able to unmute yourself and comment.
Donald? You need to unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record.
He's trying.
Yeah, maybe try to log out and then try to come back in maybe. Sometimes maybe you just have to get out quick and come back in. We can wait for you to try that. We'll give him a minute to see if he can come back in.
Pardon me?
He's gonna try to come back in.
Okay, we'll give him a sec or two. How would you like to proceed? I think we need to move forward.
I think we move on, Madam Chair.
Comes
and
back in, if he
we'll,
comes back in, we'll
listen.
backtrack if we haven't
Yeah,
moved on the,
I think so.
on the item yet.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take it back to the applicants, and is there anything that you would like to do to respond to the public comments and testimony?
Just a few points. Based on the splitting the difference comments that were made by Mr. Peterson, we're not asking to split the difference. We're asking to move back further than the existing building is on both sides, further from the lake, and improving the side yard setback encroachment that currently exists. So we're not splitting the difference. We're trying to make an improvement. Leaving the legacy of the lake, we don't want to leave a dilapidating foundation that continues to degrade. We'd like to make an improvement on the structure that's there so it can last for a long time and can be used for a long time. And the comment about the disregard for the wetlands by Mr. Worley, we spent quite a bit of time with staff and working through wetland conversations to make sure that we were being respectful and continue to work with the wetland delineator to make sure that we're doing the right things and improving, not destroying. I feel like I should go through Mr. Severson's letter, and I have comments on literally everything he says that I feel like are inaccurate statements, but you guys do this every day, so I'm hoping that you can see we're trying to work with you and do the right things so we can make something work on this property. Well, thank you.
Anything you'd like to add, sir?
Yeah, I guess I have to respond to the personal slam because it's reputation. I've worked with the county before on our current property, and we went through a process to add a buffer in front of one of the small houses that we have on the lake. And I worked with the county. We put in dogwood. We did it the way the county asked me to, and it looks great. I'm not out there killing cattails or whatever I'm being accused of today. Basically what's happening is there's new progress going to happen, and sometimes people don't want that. I look at myself and my wife, we're the lucky new owners of this unique piece of property. I'm the new custodian. I'm the one out there picking up all the beer cans already that people throw out on the weekends. I'm the one cleaning up all the firework debris that lands on this property, and I'm going to continue to do that. A lot of the lake residents at the end of the point use that area to come and swim and recreate. You know, they park out there with their pontoon boats. We did the same thing. We would pontoon over. We're all for that. We're not saying we don't want that. I just want to build more one-level home. Well, I'm getting older. My wife's getting older. And I'm just trying to get ahead of the future a little bit here. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Donald or Ann is now back online.
Okay, if you would like to unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record, that would be great. Ann, can you hear me? If you could unmute your microphone, please.
Others have used it tonight, and we haven't had any problems, so I'm sorry, I wish.
Not sure what's going on. I'll give one more chance. Can you hear me? If you can, you're going to need to unmute your microphone, Ann, and state your name and address for the record.
they're trying to type something, it says.
I'm sorry, but we're going to need to move on.
She says you can hear us, but she is unable to unmute. Her property the property she listed is at 5049 Crow Wing Lake Road.
Okay. I think we're going to just need to move on. I'm sorry, but since we cannot hear you, we're going to need to move on. I apologize for whatever technical issues that are going on here, but we've had no problems this evening, so this unfortunately is ended on the last application for the evening. Sorry. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the board for conversation and review. Do you have any questions of the applicant or any comments that you'd like to make?
No, it's low impervious coverage of 11%.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the findings of fact are on page 143, and the conditions are on page 145.
143 and 145.
They're actually moving farther away from the lake than the present structure is located. I mean, they're improving both side yard and lake setbacks, so. I don't have a problem with it.
With that, we can entertain a motion regarding this request.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request with the conditions as stated per the findings of fact.
And the conditions listed?
And conditions listed, yeah.
And any discussion on that, or Andy, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion here. Hearing none, all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for my tardiness.
And I just wanted to review too, you understand what's being approved tonight?
Yes.
Do you understand the conditions that we were referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you must obtain the permits now from Land Services?
Yes.
And understand what's being approved tonight is final? Anything that would change as far as structure size, height, or location would need to come back for, and be approved by this board. You'd need to get another, submit a new application, pay the fees, that type of thing.
Yes.
Okay. What we approve is final, and the staff cannot change any of those things, so that is understood.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that brings us to matters not on the